Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is August 7th, 2025. And I was waiting all day for this consolidation to finish before making this video, and I believe it is just about done. We're going to talk about what Bitcoin's been doing for the past, 5 days, and what to expect next. If that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day, night, whatever. All right, let's get into it. Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. I actually redrew this channel, and I'm going to tell you why. So in the morning, I'm looking at Bitcoin, and let's go on. Yeah, let's stay on the 4-hourly channel. Let me redraw the channel as I had it. I think it was something like this. Yeah. So I'm looking at the channel, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's no good. That's an invalidation of our midline. Is Bitcoin going to shoot up to the top of the channel again? I still don't think it's super bullish because obviously it's a channel. So even if the midline is recaptured, you're still dealing with all of the resistance at the top of the channel. Again, this is a 20+ day channel. So we're still at resistance. You're going into resistance. That's still my even smaller and medium time frame thesis, that you're going into resistance, so you're still bearish even on the smaller to medium time frame. Not even to mention the higher time frame and everything going on there. Then I pose myself this question, and this is an important question. Your midline, is that a good midline? Is it valid? Is it accurate? Check it again. Like, let's say your channel's perfect, then check it again. Make sure it is as good as it can possibly be, so that you know with a high degree of probability that that channel's midline, the heart line, has actually been taken over, and it's likely that we're headed back to the top of the range. So I said, okay, let's play devil's advocate. Let me redraw it. So I completely deleted it, and what I did was I said, you know what, this is kind of noisy right here, and this is a really good thing that I think I should do more often, and maybe you can make use of this. This is really noisy. Why am I on the intraday time frame? Why am I on the 4-hourly time frame? Obviously, I'm logically tracing the channel's support and resistance, but think about the context of all of this price action. You see this A and this B? That means I spied a zigzag, okay? I spied a corrective pattern, and actually that is an important corrective pattern, because if you zoom out and you look at Bitcoin, actually not that much, if you zoom out and you look at Bitcoin for the past 300 days, that small a and small b is my pivot. That is my last corrective pattern before sort of that's my last corrective pattern into a drop. Okay, that's my last requisite corrective pattern. Sometimes it's 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot. Sometimes it's 2 degrees of AB basing, a pivot, and a smaller pivot. But you need at least 3 of these. So, right, I have this one, the first one. I have the second one, right? This first pair of corrective patterns, this second pair of corrective patterns. This is my last pair of corrective patterns, right? So that's why that's important. Let's go back to the smaller time frame and look again. So if that is a pivot, right, then this is really the important part right here, not this. This is the important part, and this midline is the important part. So I was like, okay, maybe there's something there. And the other thing I did is, let me draw this on the daily time frame. Why? Because like I said, the 4 hourly time frame here, the 4 hourly time frame here is quite noisy. And when I say noisy, it means like, all right, first of all, it's very likely that this is some sort of zigzag. A zigzag in Elliott wave analysis is 5 degrees or 5 waves down, 3 waves up corrective pattern. Okay, and that can slant, but at the end of the day, it's 5, 3, and then you're pretty much at the resistance of the golden pocket. So 0.5 to 618, right? So it's essentially an orthogonal retracement. That's important. So I put that in my head. Then I was like, okay, now let's switch to the daily time frame and help with all the noise. Okay? So I can better and more faithfully draw this channel. So I go to the daily time frame. I go into my parallel channel tool and I redraw. Given the two pieces of information that I just gave you, one, that it's the corrective pattern of it's the counter correction of a zigzag, and two, that it's kind of noisy, so maybe the daily time frame can help with all the noise. Basically, I'm looking for tops and bottoms, and I can put together tops and bottoms better on the daily than I can on the 4 hourly. So I go on the daily and I connect the top like this, and I think that is an adequate representation of the top resistance. Okay, and then I look at the bottom and I think, okay, well, maybe something like this is an adequate representation of the bottom support for this channel, and I extend it, and lo and behold, our midline. The midline is actually more likely, more probabilistically right here. And it's not a midline of 20 days. No, it's the midline of this B wave right here. Okay, it's the midline of this B wave that lasted about 14 days, so 2 weeks. I think that's what's going on. I think that's why you had Bitcoin come up to the 17 level. For me, is that okay? And then I further played devil's advocate, and I hope this isn't boring. I'm showing you my process. This is real. Like, when you're doing technical analysis, it's extremely challenging. This is a very, very, very challenging technical analysis and trading. Extremely challenging activities, things to do, especially for gainful, income. It's very, very challenging. You can make mistakes, sure, but I think the process of perfecting your process and questioning yourself and it's not, is it moving the goalpost or is it refining your read? And that's the question I pose myself. I'm like, no, that's refining my read, because if I'm moving the goalpost, then I'm just saying, in all honesty, we're headed to the top. And actually, price action doesn't lie. Price action will, if the midline's really been aced, then we're coming right up here because there's no resistance. But if we're stopping here, there's a reason why we're stopping, and it's more likely than not that is a resistance. So I look, and I think that price action also shows that this midline is a faithful midline, right? On the daily, that was resistance, support, right? Resistance, a bit of support. So that is my new read. And again, context. All of this is small time frame stuff. Small to mid time frame stuff. My bearish thesis relies on a higher time frame read. And there again, the importance of relying on the higher time frames rather than the smaller time frames, because the smaller time frames, they're less reliable. I drew a channel, I connected, the top resistance and the bottom support. I thought I did it a really good job, but apparently I didn't do such a good job, because once price went through my midline, I was all kinds of confused. Didn't lose my trades, but still I was all kinds of confused. So again, higher time frame analysis is best, but it may take longer to play out, and you're not as precise, right? Because you're working with a higher time frame. Anyway, this is why I believe that we are actually right now at the midline and looking for a reversal on the really small time frames to go down to our first target. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. And my first target is still down at 98, like I said yesterday. And so I think we're just going to do that in short order. I think that's it. I do believe that's it. That's a midline retest right here. And what we put in here is a falling out of the channel and testing the midline. That's pretty much it. So that's Bitcoin. All right, now let's get to the Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance yesterday, I said, look, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders right here, breakout, and it looks like it's going to hold on this neckline and then go up, and it didn't. Again, small time frame, completely invalidated. But does that invalidate my higher time frame thesis? Absolutely not. On the higher time frames, you're still at a higher time frame support level, right here, and the even higher time frame daily, weekly read still has you at the bottom of this channel, right? This multi-month channel. So that's even larger support. So again, higher time frames, more reliable. This is 7-month support that you're at right here, and support shows support. So right here, the price comes down, finds support. It's likely to retrace. To break support, you have to break it not from the level of support, but from a higher level if you're bearish. So that would be the midline. And again, we all know that the midline retest is one of the ways that you break channels. But even if you didn't know that, you're at support. So you use support, you go up, then you come back down, retest support as resistance, and then continue. So that's the idea. That's why my read for Bitcoin dominance is still bullish, i.e. I'm still bearish in the medium term for Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency markets. Last but not least, the TOTAL3. Okay, so this is interesting because the TOTAL3 we channeled in this price action right here. And it broke out a little bit, and now it broke out a lot of it. So this, I think at this point, is quite clear what's going on. Okay, this is a complete and utter demolition of this falling wedge, of this channel that price action was in. And in Elliott wave analysis, when this happens, you see this counter correction, and that's typically evidence of wave 2 or wave 4. So this is likely wave 1, this is likely wave 2, okay? And then you continue, okay? So I think if that's correct, we should be able to find a time component, because remember, wave 1 and wave 2 are comparable in time according to Elliott wave analysis. So if you look, it's taken 5 days and 12 hours to go down, and this move right here, for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, this ABC corrective pattern, again, we're in a corrective pattern. For those of you getting super excited that we're so bullish, you're in correction, you're long in correction. This is the this is a trend. This is the counter trend. We talked about that yesterday and in a couple episodes ago. Trend, counter trend. The counter trend is counter to the trend by definition. The counter trend goes up, but the trend goes down more than the counter trend goes up. The first counter trend is always the most extreme of the counter trends, retracing approximately 62% of the trend. Okay, so now let's without further ado take the time it's taken for our counter trend, and thus far it's been 5 days and 6 hours. So again, we have a comparable amount of time spent for the trend down and the trend up. Likely, if we get a reversal in the near immediate, in a few hours, in a few candles, then that's confirmed, and we're likely to retrace more in the direction of the trend. But then you're expecting wave 3, which is the most impulsive, the most the fastest of the Elliott waves. Last thing I'll say is this: if you channel this right here, this reversal, right, this head and shoulders reversal that you have here, you can see that you've broken down, kind of like Bitcoin, you've broken down from the channel, and then in a corrective pattern, you've retraced exactly to the midline. So you have consistency in your total 3, consistency in Bitcoin's chart. I maintain that it's likely, more likely than not, that you're dealing with a counter trend, both in altcoins and in Bitcoin. And I think you can see the counter trend a little more clearly on the 4-hourly time frame. But look, A, B, C. That's a counter trend. That's not a trend. People getting excited to trade counter trends, I mean, all power to you, but that's risky. It's risky because at any point in time, the trend can resume, and when it does, it's fast, furious, forceful, and it's hard to get out of the way of the trend, right? It's late, so that's it. I hope this was helpful. If this was useful, like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider tipping, Venmo, Litecoin, Cash App, all at the pinned comment below. And consider the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. Sign up also at the pinned comment below. Don't forget the BTCC new exchange for the channel. The promo is 10% on any new deposits, minimum deposit of 500 USDT. You should get your 10% cash back within 7 days. That's it. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye.
I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest. Magnanimous, we body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin what's happening?